let's see. This morning when I got up, I actually just had time alone with God, and I just said, God, speak through me. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to these people, but I know that I'm supposed to be authentic in what I say and speak from my heart. Most of you know my story. I was married for 17 years to a great guy. Was blessed so much to have 2 beautiful sons, but my marriage was a disaster. I was very, very unhappy in that marriage, did all I could to try to make it work, and finally reached a point where I just could not do it anymore. Even though I was a Christian and sought after God somewhat in my life, nothing seemed to be working until I reached a point where I developed a mindset of, I need to be happy. I deserve to be happy. And I'm getting out of this marriage. And I left my husband, I met a man, and became intoxicated by the infatuation of that relationship. And in addition to my wrong thinking about how I deserve to be happy and screw everybody else and everything else, I thought, well, I'll go over to Laguna Beach and I'll start this new life, and I just won't have Scott with me, but my kids will come and visit me, and they can be with their dad, and they can be with me, and all will be well. I can finally be happy. But part of that equation didn't work, and the equation was huge, and it's what you were saying, Roswell, about all the cost to that decision, and how it just, the ripple effect, and how it spills upon people that care deeply for you. And those people were my children, my 2 boys. They didn't want to come stay with me. They hated me. They hated me. I've never been told to go F off more in my life than I was by my children. And so the pain of that rejection and the shame that I started to feel from the choice that I had made, all in the name of I deserve to be happy. I went to my doctor and told her how my life was just not working. She put me on Adderall, and it was a happy pill. I started feeling euphoria, happy, joyful, and along with those tiny 5 milligrams of Adderall, I went to 10, I went to 15, and then I started drinking, and I had never really drank before, just wine on occasion. And I started mixing margaritas, massive quantities of tequila, along with massive quantities of Adderall. I was doing 90 milligrams of Adderall a day. Completely estranged from my children. My son Chad, my second-born son Chad, started using drugs, probably to anesthetize his pain. He became deeply addicted to marijuana, which led to opiates, prescription opiates, as a result of a snowboarding accident, and then hardcore addiction to heroin. The whole time not speaking to me, hating my guts. Fast forward, I got to a point in my life where my doctor, I can't take credit for having strength, my doctor wouldn't write my prescription any longer for my Adderall, and I went into extraordinary withdrawal, and found myself in the fetal position on my couch saying, I can't do this life anymore. And my best friend, Diana, came to my house, and she looked at me and she said, unless you get help, I'll be your friend, but I will just love you from afar. And that's what it took for me to pick up the phone and call a treatment center and check myself into recovery. And in hindsight, when I think about that word recovery, it's got this undergirded idea that what we're really doing is trying to recover the person that we're meant to be. And that was the beginning of my new life, is to just who was I intended to be? What is this about, this recovery? And as I started embracing my sobriety, my son Chad watched me from afar thinking, yeah, right, this will never last. He still wanted nothing to do with me, but as time went on, he began to see that what I was, the path that I was on was real for me, and that I was changing. And that my heart, God was changing my heart to get my eyes off myself. And it wasn't about me, but it was about him. And it was about him empowering me to become the woman that he designed me to be. And that my hope and strength is not in tequila and Adderall and a boyfriend. And that I had to really not only give up Adderall and alcohol, but I needed to give up that relationship as well. And Chad watched me from afar, and then he went into recovery at Amanda's Center at Hope by the Sea. And my son got clean and sober, and as a result of the 12-step program, that's step 8 and 9. Oh, to be able to bend down at my son's knee and with a contrite heart, ask him to forgive me. And the greatest gift is that he said, Mama, I do forgive you. Oh, what a gift that was. You know, it's one thing for God to forgive us, but when it's your kid, somebody tangible, and he said, I love you and I forgive you, and will you forgive me? And for 5 years, Chad and I, we had a relationship like none other that a mother could only dream of, because we understood the 12-step program, and we understood authentic, true relationship where we could totally be ourselves. And anyway, so Chad was doing really good, wasn't he, Doodle? Until he wasn't. And then my boy used, and what he used had fentanyl in it, and it stopped his heart. And you know, that is pain like I wouldn't wish upon any of you, John, you know. This is the necklace that he was around his neck when he died. And his favorite Bible verse is on there. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans that I have for you, saith the Lord, plans to give you a future and a hope. And so I cling to that verse, that God is not done with me yet. And just because I failed doesn't mean I was finished. And so, yeah, there are many days when I don't want to get out of bed. And I think, why? God, why? I miss my son so much. But it's because God says, you know, I can use this. I can use this to your story, to encourage others, you know, it's to recover who we were meant to be. And just because we failed by drinking and drugging and all that doesn't mean that's the end. There's just so much more to our lives. And like you say, just all of us as a family here together, encouraging one another, and living in that hope. I just want to finish by saying this is just so cool. This is how my life is now. This is a client of mine, and now a very good friend, sent me this yesterday. Good morning, precious friend. And Jesus said, follow me, and with thankful hearts we follow. We wake up and we praise him for another day, and we join hands with our King and say, let's go walk on some water together. All things are possible. And we go out to fill the Great Commission, and that is to love one another. How grateful we are to be salt and light of the world. Keep spreading the joy and the love, Patricia. Alice. So I just want to end by saying, you know, keep spreading the joy and the love. Keep spreading the story of hope. Thank you.
Trisha. Happy birthday.